Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape. This is episode number 67. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
What's going on, y'all? This podcast is brought to you by Modern Roots Life. Modern Roots Life is a Christian-owned and operated company, and it's bringing real health back to its roots. They offer powerful, all-natural health supplements such as beef liver, cod liver oil, beef tallow, magnesium, and mineral-rich salts, all sourced the way God intended. Clean, simple, and from the earth. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, restore mineral balance, or just fuel your family with real nourishment, Modern Roots Life has got you covered. Guys, in this community, we're trying to get healthy in our mind, in our body, and our spirit. So don't neglect your health. If you want more information, check out modernrootslife.com and check the link in my description. You know, people often ask me how they can support me. Well, I think it's pretty cool if you can support me by supporting the people who support me, and you get something in return. And being healthy is a pretty good return. Well, guys, once again, I'm your host, JT, and as always, I have my co-host with me, Aaron Tunai Hart. But unfortunately, we're without Brian, but I think me and Aaron are going to try to shoulder the load. But anyways, Aaron, how's it going?
What's up, y'all? Happy to be here.
Yeah, maybe Brian might make an appearance. Sometimes he forgets that we record this at the exact same time weekly.
He might show up fashionably late.
Yeah. And so of course, you know, maybe he won't get dragged in the comments as much as he did last week.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to recreate the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, he's oh my gosh. Well,
we love Brian, and I think that a lot of people in the audience, I know that a lot of people disagree with some of the stuff he says, but I think that probably, I wonder how many episodes you've been a part of now, Aaron. But I feel like that, and I'm sure that I've kind of got that sense from the comment section, was that we're gaining a lot more rapport with each other, just because obviously I know Aaron better than Brian does, but the more shows you guys have been together, it's been more fun for the whole conversation. Flows better.
Yeah. Brian has been awesome. I mean, yeah, you guys did 50 plus episodes without me, and so or right around there. And so I think
more than that, because we were doing that. You know, Decoding Babylon was like the previous podcast before that, and of course I've done. I don't know how many streams I've done with him on his channel. So yeah, we've been, me and Brian. Obviously, it's kind of brother vibes between me and him.
Yeah, big brother stuff. But yeah, no. So I would say, yeah, that's accurate. So you guys, but I mean, JT's Mixtape, you guys have done about 50 plus. And then I came in a couple of months ago. Yeah, he's been cool about it all. I mean, it would have to be weird. I've thought about it before. It would have to be weird being the only co-host for so long, and then all of a sudden someone new coming in. And of course, you know, whoever your co-host is doesn't really have a choice. It's your show. And so they've kind of got to get used to it. But he's been cool about the whole thing. And we've gotten to know each other better through the process. And, you know, I've been on his show and he's called me to be on it a couple of more times. It's just the timing of it doesn't generally work out because that's kind of like I'm kind of go all week. And then when it reaches that point in time, like my brain just, I'm not having it on the weekends usually. But no, he's been super cool about it. And to everyone that's watching that like feels, especially in the last episode, that we were like too hard on him or whatever. It really is like, I would say we finally hit our stride, and it's like three brothers,
Right.
kind of just having a conversation about things at this point. Nobody feels like they're getting bullied on. I just want to be very clear. And I also know that neither of these guys would be afraid to rib me if they had to on something or anything, depending on what the situation is. So I'm sure y'all will see that as well.
Yeah, it's a we kid because we love, and I think I don't know, it's just kind of like the rapport you have with your buddies. And I guess that's what I always wanted the show to be. It's funny, like I don't have like a show like a lot of podcasters do, because people are like, you should have so and so on. But I'm like, I don't seek guests a lot. And of course, when I do, when you guys see it, actually I just recorded with Jay Dreamers. And so like usually just me solo with somebody and just having a conversation with them, because it's like this show is us, and it's not like we couldn't have somebody else on, because I know that even though you recently came on, I've had Paul come on from Understanding Conspiracy. I've had Ricardo, Contend for the Faith, come on. I had a few other guests that just come on just because I thought they would be fun just to have a different perspective on things. And it is fun. I think three is a good number for this show. And that's why like I'm almost been like hesitant to have another guest on the show, because four people would kind of seem like a lot. But I think it's right now, I think we have the kind of perfect where occasionally I'll tee one up for the guys and then they'll just be like crickets. But for the most part, we don't have dead air. And for the most part, we have like I don't know, it seems like it's flowing better. I don't know. If you guys let me know what you guys think in the comments, if I should ditch one of these guys or not. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think the show is how I want it to be. So, and I think that's interesting because like that's how like these podcasts kind of go. Like sometimes you don't really know what you got until you start doing it for a while, and like what you really want it to be or understand what it's going to be. And so, I feel like at probably 10 episodes in, I kind of really figured out what we were doing. But then of course, then we get to like 50 and then we have Aaron come on. And now we've probably had about 10-ish episodes after that. And now I feel like we've kind of dialed it in of like what this is all supposed to look like, I think.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
But
Well, it
anyways, let's get to
changed.
okay.
Oh, I was gonna say no. It changed too when you started having us bring our own clips. That's
Yes, and
totally changed
I
things.
think that's
Also,
actually added a good dynamic to the show.
yeah, I agree.
So, of course, the big news this past week was the big Super Bowl halftime controversy, and I it does feel like we've entered another place where it's like they want us let them fight. Like, they want us to fight because it's now this goy slop with Bad Bunny, or like the goy slop of what do they call him? They're calling him now Hillbilly Vanili, where Kid Rock was like lip syncing at the TPUSA thing. And they're like, so now there's like this controversy about like how many people actually watched TPUSA's alternative to the Super Bowl halftime show. And it does feel like this is the just dumbest thing possible. What do you, what's your thoughts on all that, Aaron?
I mean, I saw I saw clips of it, and you know, they basically portrayed him as trying to recreate his Woodstock '99 moments coming out. My name is Kid, and it's just it's been a minute for that. He's been out of the limelight, and I don't know. They didn't really do themselves any favors in terms of like trying to appeal to current pop culture, but they also clearly weren't trying to. I feel like they know their demographic and they're just fully laying into it. Like they're fully okay with the people that just want to drink their beer, catch their fish.
Yeah, what was it? Was it Lee Bryce was talking about like he was like whining that didn't get to do those things. It
Yeah.
was almost like a parody of a country song. I just want to fix my truck. Just want to drink my beer. And you're like, seriously? Who wrote those lyrics? That's like an
I
AI
just
with
want to
like
fix my truck
It
because
seriously
it's
is. It's like
always
the only
broken.
reason like Toby Keith wasn't there talking about America is because Toby Keith passed away. But otherwise, they would have got him. They would have got Alan Jackson or something like that talking about when them towers fell. And
Yeah.
you're like, what? Like, what is this? I don't know. It's just, I guess it's like, they want us to have this dichotomy, this binary choice of like, like Bad Bunny or that. And I'm like, no, I'm not deciding. It's the same way like they want us to do at the ballot box. Oh, so you like Bad Bunny then? I was like, no, Bad Bunny's halftime show was horrible.
Yeah.
And honestly, so I watched the Super Bowl. It's funny because I'm not into sports as much as I used to, but it's sort of funny, like as a person who grew up just playing sports and watching them all the time. And now I'm kind of just, I was recording actually with Josh as the Super Bowl was about to start. And I was telling him, I said, it's kind of funny that like I probably wouldn't watch, but then like your family wants to watch. And so it's kind of weird. Like I got daughters and a wife, and they're going to watch the Super Bowl, and I'm just going to be like, what am I going to do? Watch Lord of the Rings again? Like what am I
Yeah,
actually going to do?
that's
So it's kind of
exactly
weird
what
from
you're gonna do.
it's kind of weird that I wouldn't watch it. And I watched it, and the game sucked. The game was terrible. It's it's almost like these are the 2 best teams, and then they get to the halftime show, and I gotta be honest, I did have a visceral reaction to Bad Bunny's performance because I knew he didn't speak English, and I saw him when he was at the Grammys when he was being interviewed by Trevor Noah, who's not funny, by the way. I wanna make sure everybody realizes that. He's not a comedian, and it was almost like that he spoke English so poorly, I was really actually surprised by that. It's one thing to have, like, a Latin artist that speaks, sings in Spanish, but he doesn't look like he's learned English until very recently, and he's not very good at it. And so when he came out and gave his halftime performance, I thought some of it would be in English, but I was shocked about like them with the foreign flags and talking about all the countries that make up America. And you're like, there's only one country that makes up America. If you're talking about like the greater North America and South America, well, I guess there's a lot of countries that make up these continents, but there's only one country in America, right? We might have territories, and that's the one thing. Puerto Rico's is it really part of America? I mean, it's a territory of the United States. It's not a state, and I don't know. I don't think it's racist to say that. I don't think that they identify themselves as being Americans. They consider themselves to be Puerto Ricans, and it did feel like a. I was kind of joking to my wife, and I was saying, I'm kind of glad my dad's not around to see this because I'm pretty sure he would be upset by what he saw. Because it's like it's not for us. Like this is not for us, and that's fine, I guess. And that's why I said I'm not really into that stuff anymore. But it does feel like, is this still America? Like, what is this? You know what I mean? And the funny part about it was, and I'll share a video or two. I thought it was really funny, like how the setup was for this performance. That was clearly not for the people in the audience. Did you see any of that stuff, Aaron?
So I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I didn't watch the halftime show. Like I still haven't seen it. The only things that I've seen is I've seen a few clips of people's opinions of things that happened in it. And the one thing that I did see of it, like I saw a couple of clips where they showed like the power poles, the
They did sort
electricity.
of resemble crosses a little bit, but, that might have
And
been some of the symbolism there.
the one thing that I did see that I could totally get with was Ricky Martin passing the torch to Bad Bunny.
This one gay Latin guy to another gay Latin guy.
Basically, yeah. But like it did look like some kind of ceremony where Lady Gaga was the high priestess and she was kind of like officiating this handoff because there was no other reason to have her involved.
Yeah, a really odd choice because I was commenting, if you watched her Grammys performance and just the way she looked, I mean, she looks like she is more totally into Marilyn Manson. Like she has the look is almost identical to him. And then, but of course, when she performs at the Super Bowl, she looks more like, I don't know, she's got like a Dorothy dress on from the Wizard of Oz sort of looking look. And she's more like, I don't know what she was going for, but it was obviously she wasn't going for that gothic satanic look as much as she normally does.
She looks to me like she's been fully consumed and fully taken over by the demonic.
Yes.
At that performance, she looked like that to me. So I immediately when I saw that video, I was like, oh, I can get with that. It looked like some sort of demonic or satanic ceremony for sure.
One of the reasons I guess I didn't mind watching the Super Bowl halftime show is because of obviously this podcast and like, okay, so what are they going to show? Is it going to be super overtly satanic, like maybe like a Beyonce or Madonna performance at the Super Bowl? Or is it going to be more subtle with like a little more coded message in it? And I'm not saying there wasn't, but for the most part, it was just a little strange the way I saw it. It wasn't, I'm not saying it wasn't there, and I've seen people decode some of the stuff. And yes, the the power poles did kind of resemble crosses and it almost looked like there was three of them. But then there was another one. So maybe, maybe. I guess I don't really know. But it was interesting. Some of the people were breaking down his lyrics in English and just how disgusting they are because they're so
I
overtly
believe it.
sexual and stuff like that. But anyways, I want to show a video. I thought this was pretty funny. Just the I guess just the aesthetic of it because it's one thing when you see it from your home sitting on your couch. It's another thing if you paid like $10,000 to see this go to the Super Bowl expecting to be impressed by this show, and this is what you get.
Que se rían los que se olvidaron que de mí me gusta mucho la Gloria, la Patricia, la Nicole, la Sofía, mi primera novia, y Quita, el María, y mi primera muerte.
That's kind of enough of that. Actually, I'll play this one other video because this guy actually showed up at the. This guy had tickets to the game, so he was there to see the
Did you see
spectacle.
the video? There's video footage out there somewhere of, I don't know if it was like a rehearsal or pre-performance, but there's video footage of him performing where they've got the real audio from him performing, and he can't sing. It's just noises and stuff, dude.
I've seen a few of that. Are you talking about Bad Bunny without auto-tune?
Yes, dude. Without any help at all.
You know what? It's funny because I'm curious if those are legit because it is so bad. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if it's slightly altered, but I mean
I can tell you based on some raw audio that I've heard from some major artists out there in the world in my day doing studio stuff, it's legit.
Let me see if I can find a video because it's almost like you can't even believe it's real because it's so bad,
so atrocious, dude.
But you know the funny part about it is, so a lot of people, like myself included, was really kind of annoyed that we couldn't understand what he was saying. And then I saw these people who are saying, like, I'm a Spanish speaker and I really don't know what he's saying either. Have you heard that? Like,
yes, I have,
guess the way he sings, the way he's pronouncing his words, he doesn't really sound like he's even speaking Spanish properly either. I guess that kind of tracks. There's a lot of, okay, here you go. I found one. I kind of want this to be real.
Es que no lo le da porque no lo mate. Hola, casa, hola, casa, hola. Hola, casa, hola, casa, hola.
Oh man, I don't know. Okay, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if that was real, but I also wouldn't be surprised if that was fake. The only thing that makes me feel like it's fake is because they added the like skid noises from the sneakers in there.
Well, I mean, so supposedly this is his voice without auto-tune and obviously without the music in the background. But yeah, it doesn't really surprise me. It's like it doesn't. I guess it's the thing. It's like so he's basically, I mean, one of the biggest artists in the world as far as downloads and all the stuff and concert sales. He didn't really look like he was a good dancer.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when they put so much money behind you and put your face everywhere and force everyone that can't think for themselves to download your stuff.
Right, but he's like not a very good singer. Like, you know, he doesn't have a
like
99%
of them. Yeah.
Right, sure, but you know, you kind of expect, you know, I guess I kind of expected like a typical Super Bowl halftime show with, you know, all the fanfare and it's, you know, like they're changing things around, the things are moving so quick and there's tons of lights and, you know,
and they
just
usually
kind of a crazy
want people to sing along, right? Like that's,
right,
they normally choose people that can sing along or they're familiar with the artist's music.
Yeah, but that was not that, and that was really weird.
No, that was that was a statement. That was very. I don't really have it figured out, honestly. Very, very interesting. but it felt like they had a mission and they were going to accomplish it one way or the other. But like I said, when I saw the clip of how they pointed out that it was basically like a handoff ceremony, like some kind of dark ritual where Lady Gaga officiated the handoff from Ricky Martin to almost similarly to the way the torch was passed from Ozzy Osbourne to Youngblood.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very reminiscent of that.
Oh, I can't find the video. But anyways, I guess the point was that a lot of people were saying that if you were there, you're seeing people walk through like this really tall, I don't know, it was like sugar cane or bamboo or something. And like, so you can't see anybody. So it's really awkward for the audience who can't speak the language that they're singing in. They don't understand what's happening. And then they can't even see what's happening. And so this
What do you
guy was
think
saying
the
like,
symbolism was with the grass, with the grass being so tall? I was told that those people got paid $3,000 each.
oh yeah. So people are showing the videos of them marching in where like the people are the set pieces. They're the grass. And so I saw a couple funny jokes on X. One of them saying that landscapers, when ice shows up, like these guys are hiding.
That's great.
And then
disguise.
the other joke was something about how when AI takes over completely, there'll still be jobs available, and it says the jobs, and it's like people walking
jobs.
around and
Dressing up like grass at the Super Bowl.
dressing up like grass.
That's crazy.
Well, look, we've got Brian is here. Brian looks like he's wiping sleep out of his eyes. How's it going, bro?
Doing great.
Were you a little tired?
I just a little bit. It's all right.
Just
It's
a little
all
bit?
right.
We were just talking about the bad binary choice they want us to choose between Bad Bunny and Kid Rock, or he's now being called Hillbilly Vanili. Have you guys seen that? Like Hillbilly Vanili, because supposedly this was the thing, and I feel like this is a little cheesy. That Turning Point was marketing their event as some kind of other live event that's taking place during the halftime show, but it was pre-recorded, and then it looks like Kid Rock was lip syncing or something, and they had to hire people to go to be the audience there.
Dude, did you hear that they said that online it was like Candace Owens kind of ripped it apart? They were talking about how their viewership for the event was like something like 100 or like 10 million or something ridiculous. But Candace was like, if that's real, then why are the comment ratio doesn't line up? And Candace was like, there's no freaking way. She was like, the biggest live in all of YouTube history is this video and this video. And she breaks down the biggest ones. And then she gets to that video and she's like, so you're telling me this video with a comment ratio that doesn't even remotely come compared to these other lives? She's like, you sure that's true? Like, she was just like,
it definitely got view botted. It got view botted for sure. Like people, even other streamers were calling that out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd say as somebody at this point who's been a YouTuber for a few years now, I understand that when you conclude a live stream, that there is this weird time in between. I think a lot of people went real quick to say, "Oh, it's only got this many views," but if you looked how many likes it had, it's kind of like when we have a premiere or a live stream, like I'll be able to see the actual numbers on my studio side, and it will take a while before the totals tabulate correctly to how many people actually watched it. So like, let's just say we have like 1,000 people watching a stream or something. As soon as it concludes, it might only say that there's 900 views on the thing, even though we already know that there's more than that. And it takes a minute before the algorithm, I guess, corrects it. But I do think, yeah, that what Aaron was saying, I think that's more likely what happened was that they had bots. They paid a lot of bots, and they obviously paid to promote it too. So it wasn't necessarily organic. And I don't know. I'm not saying a lot of people didn't do that as some kind of a protest of what was happening with Bad Bunny. But I mean, I don't know how many people really said, "Oh, I'm going to go," because like most people watch the Super Bowl on their TVs, right? And I know you can click over to YouTube on your TV, but I know that a lot of people probably didn't do that. And so I want to say that the Bad Bunny's numbers at the halftime show, I think it was like 135 million people watched that. So it's like they might have got a lot of people watching, but how much of it was real? How much of them was bots? And also, who cares? It's just such a stupid thing where, that again, they want us to make this choice. And one thing that Candace said that was kind of cracked me up, because I thought it was pretty legitimate, is that, you know how when Biden was running for president, even though everybody knew he was completely demented and he was not going to be able to get there. And so a lot of Democrats were saying he needs to say right now that he's not running so we can have an actual primary, so we can get a candidate that we want. But then he drags his feet, and then supposedly it's too late, right? They can't do that now. So now it's Kamala, and nobody has an option. So a lot of people are upset about that. That's what feels like what's happening with this whole TPUSA thing, where it's like we've got our Kamala now, right? And it's like, this is your Republicans, this is your team right here. Like we either have like the pizza files, or we have TPUSA.
Dude, it's
like those are your two options. You don't have any other options, and this is it. And so, like, you know, just based on all the stuff that's happened with that organization, I don't care who they've got performing. I really don't want to support them in any sort of way at all. So, like, it's not because I like Bad Bunny, because I was saying I was kind of offended by just the fact that this is America still, or at least is this still America? You got this completely Spanish halftime show about, again, when the lyrics are translated into English, it's just all this sexual just degeneracy, and obviously the grinding of men and women it's terrible.
Dude, Cabot Phillips posted a video about the men grinding on each other and said this
right,
is
him of all people, right?
Yeah, him of all people, right? Seriously, dude. Like, why would he post that video? And he posts just a little clip where the men are like grinding on each other, and he goes, "This is why people tuned in." What is that?
And he's the guy with the pizza tattoo on his lips.
Yeah.
And then, but at the same time, so like here is Hillbilly Vanili over here. And if you ever saw, you know, some people have looked at his lyrics when he talks about how he likes them young and everything. It's like, this guy is not the right representative. You know, he's not the right contrast for this kind of post-Epstein file dump time, right? Like that's not who we want to be one of our leaders. And of course, later he sings about Jesus, and I'm not saying that's bad, but at the same time, you know, the dangerous part with that kind of stuff, mixing obviously all the Christianity with TPUSA, it's like it's got big time false light vibes.
Oh, they're
like, because we know this is dark, and this seems to be light because they're mentioning Jesus, but Joel Osteen mentions Jesus. You know, Kenneth Copeland mentions Jesus. So, like, that's really not the litmus test. It's like, it's good-ish, and it's better than that. But it's also could be more dangerous, because it does seem like that what TPUSA is doing is they're using Erica Kirk's like widowhood and then religion as some kind of a shield. And if you talk bad about them, it's like you don't like Jesus, and like also you're being cruel to widows.
It's like how they use the Holocaust, bro. It's like the same kind of thing. It's like it's the same exact kind of like terrible, oh, you're a bad person if you say that, if you speak against this. And like, bro, they're building up this other half, and they're telling it, and it's like they're trying to shuffle dice to try to see, oh, did the Christians bite? Do they like this? Are they going for this one? They're like, okay, let's throw Nicki Minaj and let's have her say things against it. Oh, it's not biting. Okay, let's do Nilly Vanilli guy. Okay, let's do that. And it's like they're scrambling to try to find a mascot for us to like attach to, so that way they can make the divide. They're trying to make a divide between us, the two halves of the world. They're trying to create this artificial, systematic separation, and they're scrambling. Like, bro, they threw in Nicki Minaj. By the way, Nicki Minaj is not her name. Nicki comes from Nick, which is the name for the devil, old Nick. Okay, so that's Nicki, and then Minaj is from Menage a Trois, which is a threesome with two men. Okay, and so her name is a combination of Satan and a threesome with two men. And this is Nicki Minaj's name. That's not her name. That's where she gets it from. And so you don't like to see that and that's a disgrace, because literally you think she's not a part of the agenda? Bro, she is totally a part of the agenda. She's just controlled up that they threw her in there to be like, let's see if people attach to this, even though he straight up, like her husband straight up said, Nicki Minaj is not a good role model for our society. And then right after he gets killed, she puts her on the stage. Like, are you freaking kidding me? What is going on in this world? This is ridiculous.
The problem is that they don't care which side people pick.
No, they don't. They just want us to divide.
As long as they pick one of the sides.
Yep.
Because they want to tell people how to think and tell people how to feel. And they understand that most of the world can no longer think for themselves. That's just the truth. I mean, at the end of the day, we're at a point where the only way out is through death and Jesus. The only way out of all of this is through Jesus, and we're going to get there through death. I hate to say it, like, that's just the truth. I mean, scripture even tells us that, but the reality of it is they've got everyone controlled with how to think. And we needed everyone to learn how to think for themselves 45 years ago. That was the time for everyone.
You're saying it's too late now, Aaron?
I think it's not. I think we got hope.
No, there is hope.
I think we got hope. I think we had hope-ish. I think that a lot of the stuff is.
Here's my point, though. There is hope through Jesus.
Yeah,
but like, we're not promised that our bodies are going to survive. That whole "no weapon formed against me." He's talking about our souls, not our bodies. We're not guaranteed our bodies are going to survive. Like, he didn't survive. Most of his apostles didn't survive. So why do we get to survive?
Like, right. Those who would seek to save their lives will lose it, and those who are willing to lose it for my sake will find it.
But that was talking about the people escaping the temple when he was talking about that.
I think he's obviously telling these people to go preach, and he's telling them they're going to be martyred when they go do. So, I mean, I guess the point is that principle still stands, is that if you're seeking to save the life that you have here, well, then you're really not going to get the life that Jesus is promising, because it's all about denial of self and flesh. But you know what? I want to share this really quickly,
though, just so I don't sound like a complete black pillar. I'm not saying our time is up, and I'm not saying, like, come get us or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I don't believe that. I think that we have protection until he sees that our time is up and that it's that time. I just don't think people realize how tight the noose is around everyone's neck right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
And it's because they still can't think for themselves. I remember being in the comment section. I would make a video about Trump not being who people think he is, and people would be in the comments going, "Oh, okay, you must have voted for Biden." And I'm thinking, right. Is there no third option? Is there no third or fourth option? Like, why can't people think for themselves? They still can't think for themselves. And it drives me wild, man. It's the same thing with all this.
I got called a liberal when I was posting that picture about Mar-a-Lago having that weird Mary Antoinette, dog mask party. And they were saying, they called me a liberal.
Hey, you're the liberal.
Posting something anti-Trump. It's like, no, I'm really not actually very liberal, if you actually have watched any of my podcasts. But check this out. Did you guys see what Erica Kirk had on? Well, some internet sleuths noticed something interesting about, I guess, where Charlie Kirk used to film his podcast, and she recorded one recently there, and let's just say something was missing. Okay, you guys checking this out? So this is Charlie Kirk on September 8th. And see, on the bookshelf, it looks to me like that's him in a black suit, and that's
the 10 Commandments
in a white wedding dress.
Wedding photo.
Yeah, it's a wedding photo.
Of that exact 10 Commandments thing I took from a Catholic's house that after I prayed and cast out a bunch of demons.
Okay, so there you go. So out of all these things, if you look at this bookshelf, it's like everything is identical, except for this is September 8th, again, 2 days before, and this is recent, where everything else remains the same except for that wedding photo has been changed, moved.
No.
What's there in its place?
That thing right there. Let me show you what it is. I'll grab it. I know exactly what that thing on her shelf is. Watch.
It's not necessarily that what's there is wrong, especially if it's some kind of 10 Commandments. When I first glanced at it, I thought it might be like the Constitution or something. It's more the fact that she moved their wedding photo.
No. Show me that thing
so
again.
Soon.
This is what was on her shelf. That's what she took off. Bring the photo back up.
It does look like
that's it, bro. It's the 10 Commandments. That's literally, she took the 10 Commandments off of the shelf.
No, bro.
No, she put the 10 Commandments on the shelf.
Sorry, she put the 10 Commandments on the shelf.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
She
It's
took off the
more
wedding
like
photo.
there's nothing wrong about what's been put back there. It's the issue is like, why would a grieving widow move a picture of their wedding?
She replaced her husband with the law of Moses.
Yeah, and bro, no, that's even worse. Do you know what these 10 commandments say? These are the Catholic 10 commandments. These are not the real.
Oh, they're not even
They're
the real
not the
10
real 10
commandments?
commandments. They skip.
Oh, it's the one where they
This is terrible.
They double up the coveting one so they can take out the idolatry.
Yes, they literally. This is the 10 commandments where they remove the idolatry. Do not worship like other, so they can practice idolatry. I'll read it. I am the Lord thy God. They shall not have strange gods before me. And then it just skips. The second commandment they say is, thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain.
Yeah,
or thy God name in vain.
Commandment number 2 should be, do not make graven images or idols.
This is the satanic thing that I took this out of a Catholic's house after we cast out a bunch of demons.
Why do you have that?
Because I took it out of I told you, I prayed for a Catholic, and this was in their house, and it was totally demonic. I took it out of their house, and I thought this was funny.
So why do you have it?
Because I thought it was funny to share, bro.
Yeah, why didn't you burn it with the
It's totally demonic.
It was.
You wave it in your hand.
Because of this reason, to bring it up on this podcast. The Lord told me I could keep it. I was like, good, all right.
Yeah, well, I would say that was pretty interesting.
I show it to people.
Got some context.
I literally show it to Catholics to be like, hey, Catholics, you think this is your 10 commandments? And it's a witnessing tool. So this is a witnessing tool now. That's what that is. I think it's hilarious.
That's wild. Hey, let's switch gears. So now another one of the big things that happens at the Super Bowl is the commercials. And so this guy made a good video, and we'll maybe transition into at least one of the commercials, what I thought was a big deal. But this guy kind of made a point of like what I'm making is that, are we having the right conversation? Should we be talking about Bad Bunny versus Hillbilly Vanili?
Okay, everyone's just talking about Bad Bunny, and that's the whole controversy of the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, the majority of the ads I saw were promoting AI, weight loss drugs, sports gambling, and cryptocurrency. And the worst one of them all was the Ring commercial, which is disguised as a sweet, oh, we'll help you find your dog. But actually, you're giving this company complete surveillance system access on your whole neighborhood and home. Are we really having the right conversations right now?
Yeah, and let me share. One of our friends made a video about that, and I thought, hey guys, this is absolutely frightening.
Did anybody else see the Ring camera commercial that aired during the Super Bowl? I mean, they're not even trying to hide it at this point. If you didn't see it, I'll speed it up and play it here. Just watch.
This is my pets are family, but every year 10 million go missing, and the way we look for them hasn't changed in years. Until now. One post of a dog's photo in the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search Party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs. Since launch, more than a dog a day has been reunited with their family. Be a hero in your neighborhood with Search Party. Available to everyone, for free, right now.
10 million dogs go missing every year. Help us find 500 of that 10 million by agreeing to mass surveillance. That's just diabolical. We're going to use it to find your dog. We're going to have you upload photos of your dog to the AI database, and then we'll activate all the cameras in your area, in your neighborhood, and use it to find your dog. Anybody with half a brain knows they're not using that to track your dog. Practically every dog in America comes microchipped. If my dog ran out the front door right now, I could track him. I don't need a mass surveillance state to do that. But they're actually going to convince people that's what they're doing, and then your neighbors are going to get a camera, and you're not going to have one, and your neighbors will genuinely ask you, hey, why didn't you get on the Search Party app? Do you hate dogs or something? The only thing that ad taught me was that Ring cameras can be controlled remotely and have facial recognition. Guys, we're so screwed.
Okay, so I still feel like people aren't understanding. If you watched The Dark Knight, you saw what their plan is with all cameras, with all cell phones, with all surveillance. Like, it's all of it. If you have a camera anywhere in your house, whether it's Ring or otherwise, any feature to turn that stuff off is just a fallacy. It's just to make you feel better. They have access to all of it. Every single camera, every single microphone, everywhere. They've been using it. They're going to continue to use it. It's not even a secret. Like, I don't understand what people don't understand about that. Like, they've already been doing this. They're just telling us now that they're doing it. And they're trying to make it about the dogs because they do want people's consent. But like, if you've got Ring cameras set up inside your house, if you've got Ring cameras outside your house, if you've got any cameras inside your house, it's not a closed network. Anyone with even a little bit of hacking skills has access to all of those cameras at any given time. Especially the people that are running any of the 3-letter agencies. They've got access to all of it. This was always the plan. Like I said, they revealed their game plan when The Dark Knight came out, the first movie with Christian Bale. They showed us that whole weapon of surveillance was built. And at the very end, he's like, we have to destroy this. He built it to find someone. I don't remember the exact plot, but then they destroyed it. Well, it didn't get destroyed in reality. But there's a whole TV show about this too. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Travelers. It's about these people that are sent from the future to the past, and their conscience is sent from one body to an old body in the past, very much like demon possession. And it's all about cameras. It's in the future. There's an AI overlord that does everything. And so the only way to stay away or out of sight of any of that is to stay away from cameras and any technology.
Well, you know, it's the one thing that didn't get brought up, and I know a lot of people are talking about it, is in my area, and I'm sure pretty much every area. Have you guys looked up about the flock cameras? That the ones that are just being put up everywhere?
Yeah,
that are supposedly just supposed to. Yeah.
AI and technology is the end game.
Yeah, but I mean, you have all these kind of people worried about the big brother, but it's like it's here. Like
it's been here.
So, you know, so obviously these will be the whole grid system where like now you can't drive anywhere. You have cameras on all these lights and all these posts. And now you have this connected system that what they're probably really trying to do is get consent for it because it's already there. Is like all the Ring cameras in the neighborhood. So they have cameras everywhere, including in your house, because as you said, we have our webcams, we have our phones, they have listening devices on them.
They're on your TVs,
their Alexa. Right. So I mean, it's like they have it, and I think maybe they
didn't have cameras in neighborhoods. That was the only thing they didn't have, and now with Ring, that's it because they already have them on the street.
But I guess the truth is they already had those cameras. I mean, the point is that
because didn't people submit the videos of the Ring footage of finding Tyler Boyer supposedly doubling down, walking through the neighborhood?
Or you mean Tyler Robinson? But I guess I guess the truth is like that. Those Ring cameras are uploading to some cloud, you know, so like you can obviously people depending I think on the amount you pay for your subscription to Ring, you can get the recordings of them. Like you could go back and look, but otherwise, you know, like but that is getting uploaded to a cloud. And so it's a situation. Is this like a Patriot Act situation where they're saying, oh, we're only mining metadata. We're actually not really listening to everybody's phone calls.
No, dude, they're collecting all of it everywhere, and they're using it to whatever purpose they want to use it for. 2020 was the test. That's why they had everyone standing 6 feet apart, and that's why they had store entrances closed, and you could only get in and out through one door because they were testing all of this. They got it all fine-tuned and working in 2020.
But guys,
that makes sense.
But guys, if you don't have anything to hide, I mean, why do you care about being watched? That's the argument.
That's true. Only criminals should worry about this. Only the criminals. Only the bad people should worry about it.
Exactly, but that's the thing. They're setting it up to where it is only for criminals that should be concerned about it, but very quickly.
But now they decide who the criminals
are. Exactly. That's what's going to happen. Who's the criminal is going to change real fast, real soon. Just wait till you get to 2029, and you're going to find out, oh, people that believe in God, they're now the criminals, and you have nowhere to go.
Exactly.
And there's nothing to watch. Exactly. That's the fear. That's the problem,
when
guys.
They make, when they make anti-Semitism against the law and it's hate speech, then if you say something that's against
and you have nowhere to go,
this foreign government in the Middle East, then you'll be a criminal. I mean, but that's the way it's kind of always been. Where so back in the Patriot Act days, they would say, oh well, if you're not a terrorist, you don't have to worry about it. But it's like they can label all kinds of people terrorists. They were even labeling parents who were angry at school board meetings like a few years ago as enemies of the state. So it's like if the state wants to label you X, then you can be that. Then yes. I guess the truth is like that. It is. I think the whole thing about the dog thing. I think that's consent, though. You know what I mean? I think that's what it's really about. I think they have the ability to do it right now, but maybe they want us, it's like through this spiritual warfare, they want us to give over that authority to them.
No, I
And
agree.
so we did it willingly.
This is the kind of stuff that I have to go to Jesus and ask him to renew my mind and renew my strength and give me, because these kinds of topics are the ones that make me want to just give up on even trying to help anybody.
That's what they want. That's what they want you to feel, bro. They
No,
want you to feel that.
I know, and I know where my hope comes from. But it's like, it's so disheartening when people don't see the bigger picture. It's like, we live in a world where people think that they have technology that can see 20 universes away, 50,000 light years, and they know the size of a planet and the makeup on this planet, and they're giving us pictures that are completely falsified, but they can't catch the guy next door beating his wife and abusing kids. Like they don't understand. Look, we've got the technology to do that, but we don't got the technology to find these guys. It's like, no, we do have the technology to find those people, and we don't have the technology to see that other stuff because it's not real. It's none of it's real.
Right.
And it's like,
it reminds me of back when that old Will Smith movie, what was it? Enemy of the State. I think that was like 1993, 1996, somewhere in that range, like in the mid 90s. And of course, the technology, the way they show it, where all the cameras, like they have the NSA and they can just hack into a camera and they can zoom in and then they can 3D render it and they can move somebody around. They can find out what's in somebody's pocket. And then he's running, so Will Smith's running and jumping from rooftop to rooftop. And you got the satellite who can beam down to him and can zoom in on him. It's funny because that's what they showed you back in the 90s. And so now today, they could probably do lots of those things that they're showing there. I think it was completely unrealistic back then. But yeah, just kind of the way that you could imagine a camera that is really high quality and it's connected to some AI. They probably could 3D render somebody real quick and,
if
show
you're
the way they're
around technology or Wi-Fi in any way, shape, or form, they can find you. They know where you're at. They know what you look like. They have a 3D render of you. They
can sort of echolocation.
They know what you're doing.
Wi-Fi. They do like this echolocation.
Exactly.
Like
so
that.
the only way
Wi-Fi.
to stay away from that and above that is to not be around technology and not be around Wi-Fi.
But
that's literally the only way.
Here's the thing. You can't get around it. The reality is this. We just need to trust in the Lord that he will protect us. And that's it. That's my trust.
No, I mean, I absolutely agree that, again, this is a spiritual battle. I know that our flesh is going to fail. So like the government is not, they do not have our best interest in mind. I think we're all aware of that. I guess it is just kind of frightening because, like, how do we navigate all this stuff? And I'm more worried about my children and the place they're going to grow up in because, man, this place is getting way more intrusive and sick. And it's like, yeah, their goal is not to catch bad guys because there's tons of bad guys. And the truth is, these guys are the bad guys. That's what they kind of show you.
To Brian's point, though, that kind of extreme faith is not only like warranted, but like it's going to be required for everything that's coming.
For sure.
It's the only way out. Like I've had to work through this whole thing because I'm, let's just say that I come from a family that likes to shoot stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've always been that way, and we've got a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to work my mindset through, like, have you guys seen that video of that woman, the elderly woman that was being robbed, and she prayed over the kid and he ended up crying and coming to Jesus and dropping his weapon.
Yeah.
And so my thing is, like, to Brian's point, we genuinely need to have the kind of extreme faith where when we're faced with situations where we would be tempted to want to pull a pew-pew, we pray instead.
Bro, I had the gun.
Because those are the moments where that kind of faith they're gonna move mountains, literally. But you got to have the faith and you got to believe that it's that he's gonna come through for you, And I don't think many people are there. Most people are gonna rely on their weapons and they're gonna rely on their hands and they're gonna rely on themselves. And those are the moments we need to rely on Jesus the most, for sure.
I had a pew-pew and I was like, and literally when the guy walked in, I was like, pew-pew? And I was just like, I prayed. I was like, Lord, do I shoot this guy? And I'm like, I know he's a criminal.
Live by the sword, die by the sword, right?
And I was like, nah, I'm just gonna pray for him. Like it literally was so much more powerful. It was so funny. Like I love it. So I don't know. You just gotta trust in the Lord, and I think we're getting to a place where if you're not walking in that unity and that love with the Lord, I don't know how you're gonna stay protected, honestly, because there is like when they're watching everything and everything's controlled. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
you know what? I want to stay on that topic because I just have a video that's perfect for this. Is the idea of basically getting our pictures taken. Have you guys seen anything about this? About who can kind of controls the companies that take your kids' pictures?
Has anyone thought about how weird it is that for our entire childhood, a bunch of old men would come to our school and take pictures of all of us every year? Obviously, school photos, picture day, and the companies they worked for now own a historical record of your face. As early as 4 years old, every single year until you turned 18. But who owns all this data and what could they possibly do with it? Oh wait, did I say companies? I meant company, as just one company does nearly half of all school photos in the US and owns about 25% of the global market share of school photography. That company is Lifetouch, who was purchased by Shutterfly in 2018 for $825 million. Around the same time, facial recognition software was becoming more widespread. Just a year later in 2019, Shutterfly is bought by Apollo Global Management for $2.7 billion, a publicly traded investment firm owned by, get ready for this, Vanguard and BlackRock, their top two institutional shareholders. The two mega companies that own everything also own photos of your entire childhood. But it just keeps getting worse. BlackRock and Vanguard are also the top shareholders of globalist companies like Palantir, that was founded by this guy, Peter Thiel, whose name spells the reptile if you mix around the letters, which is a funny little anagram, but that's a story for another time. Let's focus here. Peter Thiel is the founder of PayPal and mega venture capitalist mogul sticking his dick in absolutely every globalist opportunity he can find. Like this one, Clearview AI, a facial recognition company that he was the primary investor of. A controversial company that has been sued many times for illegal scraping of facial data to build their AI's learning database. Lawsuits that resolved in settlements, meaning they basically admitted fault and paid out a bunch of money for illegal use of facial images without consent, who are part of the corporate ecosystem who have pictures of you from every year of your childhood. To be fair, maybe this whole connection is a bit of a stretch, but in the end, it really is one big company that runs everything. Using your childhood photos to train a facial recognition deep learning database to eventually establish a global mass surveillance state that is constantly watching your every move from the second you enter this world until they take you out. That's who took your school photos. Have a good day.
That's a little alarming, but
That's pretty creepy, man. That's really creepy to know that. Yeah, I guess I would never have guessed that it was like one company taking half the pictures of every public school in the country. No, maybe not even just the public schools, the private schools too. Because I'm sure they're probably hiring similar companies to take their yearbook photos.
I don't know.
This is getting dark. This topic is getting dark.
Speaking of getting dark.
Oh, what do you got, a video?
So they, of course, use it to accomplish their purpose, and then he destroys it.
Yeah,
which is
right.
not what our controllers have done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm sure that once they catch all the bad guys, and they'll probably move on to pre-crime. Like that's what like the Minority Report we were talking about. Like that they're going to catch the bad guys before they ever do anything bad. So you're like, when they say, well, you don't have to worry about it unless you're a criminal. But what if you have the potential to be one, and they decide it's too dangerous?
Turn it back on and just use
that
it
movie
once.
came out in 2008, by the way. That movie came
yeah,
out
so
in
anyways,
2008.
I'm sure that clip's gonna have to get cut for YouTube. We just showed a clip of The Dark Knight and how they use cell phones to create some sonar program where they could kind of see almost like a Matrix-y looking thing. Like, you could kind of see the code of the people, and you kind of see you could see their shadows and everything. Yeah, that's really frightening.
But like they've used those Lifetouch pictures. They took all those pictures, I'm sure, fed them into some sort of database, and they've been filtering through that stuff. I'm sure they had a more manual process back in the day, but we've all been in their system since we were kids.
It's crazy too with the what they can do now too is that, well, this is not a new thing, but I want to say it became really big on social media about 3 years ago-ish, maybe 3 to 4 years ago, where you have those apps that can age your face, and they do a really good job of that. So if you think about it, what they could certainly be doing is they could feed your school photos into some AI, and they could probably guess what you look like when you're 40 years old.
Yeah, at this point.
You know what I
for
mean? Like, they
sure.
would know, like, you know what I mean? Because if, like, let's just say you're somebody who's sort of off the grid, but they know what you look like. They'd have a really
Dang.
good idea what you look like.
They would.
You know what I
And
mean?
people
Based
think
on
this is
what
a fun, bro. You guys surrendered our data for the sake of pride and just, oh, I wonder what I look like. Oh, your pride is like the humanity's pride is literally what's given over this power and this ability. Now you can't hide.
Pride and vanity.
Pride and vanity. Look, bro, and literally now you can't. Now if you're in the forest somewhere, they'll find you. They'll know what you look like with a beard, what you look like without a beard. They'll have a photo.
Yeah, they
of
got
how
all the
old you
apps
will.
with the beard app,
just-
the hairstyle
Bro,
app,
just imagine
all
them
the
bringing
things.
up a card to be like potential looks for this individual that we're looking for, and it'll just be like the
But
photo,
to be
photo,
fair-
photo, and you'll just be like,
To be fair, even us doing this has given them access. This is all they ever needed. All they ever needed was for us to go live one time, for us to share our faces digitally one time. That's all they needed on any platform.
Well, what I'm saying is, I don't even think you needed to do that. I'm saying if the technology is good in that app, then they could have just took your senior picture from your yearbook and
Right.
figured
And
out
they
what
have
you
the
look
data
like.
from when you were a kid.
Yeah, so they know how you've aged. So the AI would already be able to do it regardless if that you ever downloaded the Face app or the Beard
enemy's
app or the
clever.
Hairstyle app.
The enemy's
so
clever. He's been trying to tighten that noose since before we were even born.
Yes. So
That's why I
anyways,
say Jesus is our only way out, man. That's
let's
it.
let's
He's the
switch
only
gears
hope.
a little bit. Let's switch gears a little bit. I want to show something. I want to show one of my videos because what also happened this weekend was the beginning of the Olympics. And so I thought I watched the Olympic ceremony and it seemed kind of underwhelming, but this obviously stood out to me. They couldn't help themselves. Yeah, that's right. They lit a flaming pentagram to start the games. How about that? But check this out. You guys won't believe this. Actually, you will. So how about that? The people that have an island where they eat lots of pizza decided to light a pentagram to celebrate their games. Everybody's really surprised, huh? Not that the lighting of a cauldron with a torch isn't inherently a ritualistic act, because famously Prometheus symbolizes the torch, which was stolen knowledge from the gods to be given to humanity. So, kind of like the serpent in the garden, knowledge, all that stuff. Yeah, Prometheus is basically, the devil. You guessed it. So maybe it is fitting that they lit a flaming pentagram to start the Olympics.
You know what's crazy is that it's a pentagram. It's the Star of Remphan.
yeah, it's all
and
of them.
it also looks like
An eye.
Yeah, but it also looks like an atom. Yeah.
Yeah, it had a really interesting shape because obviously a pentagram is really only a two-dimensional shape, but this is more like it's a complete almost like sphere, and then the pentagram was like inside of it.
It like created.
But the pentagram lit up very clearly first.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, here's a picture of it. So you can see it's like a sphere. But yeah, you can see obviously the pentagram going right through the middle of it. But I think the whole thing is just bizarre in itself because normally when they light a cauldron, everyone knows what a cauldron is. Obviously that's what witches do. They got a cauldron and they're making their potions in it and whatever. But a cauldron would typically look like that, or even that. That's a little weird one too. But I mean, they're getting weirder and weirder. But I mean, that shape here, that's just weird, and it's really ominous with that fire in the middle of it.
And that cauldron is like a straight
You
up
see the
like
eye, too?
old school witches brew cauldron.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even the I want to say like the symbolism here too. I forgot to mention this on my video.
Under the archway.
But
Dude,
this
it's
is
under an arch?
Yeah, this is totally like this Freemasonry. Like you have the two pillars, right, between it, and then you even have the arch. So you totally have
Dude,
this kind of Masonic deal where this is a portal right here,
dude,
right?
that makes me feel physically ill looking at that image. The previous one didn't, but that does.
Yeah, it's really kind of ominous where that people just don't have eyes to see it. But yeah, that's totally Masonic, big time. Because yeah, often the arch with the pillars is synonymous with a portal, right?
Don't like that.
Nope,
Don't
don't
like
like
that at
that.
all.
Hey, I got a video
No, I mean it's
that goes with
what's
that.
that?
I got a video that goes
Yeah,
with
go
it.
ahead.
Should I play it right now, or do you say something
Yeah,
more
sure.
first?
Yeah, sure. Go play it now. I'll look for. I'll show you some Masonic stuff to explain a little better
Well, no,
when
you
you're
show the
done.
Masonic stuff first, and then I'll play a video after that.
Okay, so you guys can follow me over on my Pinterest page. You just look up JT Follows JC. It's kind of unorganized, but I've got a lot of stuff over there. Back when especially when I was on TikTok a lot, I was just getting all this stuff. So, but yeah, here's all your famous Freemasonry symbols.
Wait, this is JT's page. Your TikTok.
Yeah, this
it's
is
all
yeah.
this like satanic occult stuff.
Well, no, I mean the page is.
I'm like, is this Brian's page or JT's page? What's going on here?
I have a folder for Freemasonry. So see, so you have your sacred pillars here, right? You have Jocelyn and Boaz. One is about the divine female. One represents the sun. One represents the moon. And so a lot of times you either have like the sign of Cancer above it or the all-seeing eye. But usually when you kind of look in the background, like there is some kind of stars and things like that. It represents some kind of a portal.
Yeah, and the eye. That's what I was talking about. The eye between the pillars.
Yeah. So right here, yes. Once again, you have, one side, one pillar represents Boaz represents the sun. Jocelyn represents the moon. You have the arch, and yeah, a lot of times it'll be like the Cancer symbol or the eye.
The Pisces too.
Yeah. So then you have that, and obviously all these stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's like that stuff is, it's actually really common when you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe that's kind of got the vibes too, or you got the sign of
star,
Rempin in the middle, right in the middle. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, like these people, they love their Masonic symbolism.
Yep, it's very much a dark occultic practice. I've got another video, and I want to share, and this has got some dark occultic practice to it a little bit. But it might not be suitable for YouTube. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see if this is suitable.
I'll be the judge of that.
Guys.
Interesting. Actually, I was going to share something about this.
Yeah. So in Iran, the protests burned an effigy labeled ball shown with the Star of David, the Israel flag, while chanting death to Israel. Baal is an ancient Canaanite deity often used today as a symbol of Satanism or the elite corruption. For example, Epstein. I love the way the person wrote that. Look, bro, this is them burning the effigy. If you notice, they were chanting Allah, Allah, like they're burning.
Yeah, I got a picture to share, Brian.
Okay,
of the better shot of that statue.
Good. And then they've got like here, I'll stop screen share. But the they'll it's funny because they're chanting Allah, Allah, and then they're burning Baal, and you can see the Israeli flag stuff all over him. And you're like, wait a second.
It actually has. Look, it's got Donald Trump on there, and it's also got the American flag.
Oh man, that's even funnier. Like they know, what's up.
He's got the Star of Remphan on his forehead.
Wow.
Got the pentagram like it's the Olympics.
Wow.
Also between two pillars.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, right?
Yeah.
symbolic.
Man,
But yeah,
that's
it's a
pillars.
situation where Brian and I have talked about this before, that when I used to hear that they used to call Israel and America the Great Satan, I used to think, well, that's really offensive. But then when I start to wake up, I'm like, but are they wrong about
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
I mean,
No, they're not wrong at all.
no, I don't think
And
that they are wrong. It's not necessarily that they're right about what they're doing, but when they point to the stuff that Israel's doing and the United States of America is doing, no, they're not. They're not wrong. So to represent us like that, it's actually kind of fits.
Yeah, it's kind of
perfectly.
accurate.
yeah, no, they're
unfortunately.
doing a lot of things wrong too. A lot of nations are, but like our wrong is just the loudest and the biggest.
Yeah,
But
and the most
there's
satanic.
a lot of
Overtly satanic, I'll say.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of nations with an obelisk too,
Mhm.
right? It's not just those two countries mentioned. There's a lot of nations that have that obelisk standing.
Bro,
you sacred pillars. Yeah, sacred pillars, because it's like you can have like traditional columns like you would see represented with the Freemasonry and like Solomon's Temple. But I believe also you could say the columns or the pillars could be represented by an obelisk too.
Well, there's a Bible verse. If you Google 42 verses about obelisks, this is a if you Google this 42 verses about obelisks, there's this wonderful page that comes up, and I'm gonna just share this with you, and so that way you guys can read it yourselves. But here's 42 verses about obelisks. Okay, ready? You shall not set up for yourselves a sacred pillar, which the Lord your God hates. Oh, he hates them. And what do they have in the middle of the Vatican? You know, all the men of Shem and Baal, all Beth Milo assembled together, and they went in and made Abimelech king by the oak of the pillar which was in Shem. Anyways, but there's a bunch of verses.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a theme. It's funny because I'm reading through. I'm in Numbers right now, and so if you're reading in the books of Moses,
Destroy their sacred
there's many
pillars.
verses about not setting up sacred pillars.
Yeah, destroy their sacred pillars. He better. It says the work of thy hand, so that you will no longer bow down, and your sacred pillars from among you. I will cut you off your carved images and your sacred pillars from among you. I mean, there's just a bunch of verses. You can go through them all in the Bible.
The irony is that when Solomon made the temple, he kind of made sacred pillars in him. It's funny. Me and Josh were just talking about that on the Ancient Roots podcast. I was saying I can sort of understand how the Israelites would have been confused about like not having idols when they have a ark, this magic box, right, where their God lives. I'm not saying that that's an idol, but I'm saying that I could see how they might think that it was one, right? So then when the other nations saw what the Israelites had, would they think that that was much different? And then so then they have sacred pillars in their temple too, Jason and Boaz. You know what I mean? Like where they could really be confused by like what is that? Even like the whole idea of like an ephod. Like what is the ephod and what's the Urim and the Thummim, right? Where like they have these sacred things that have the power of divination.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I do kind of wonder sometimes about like when Paul talks about that the old law was a stumbling block, and all these things do kind of seem like it's like, is this what they wanted? And so that's what God gave them. He gave them their own little idols, even though like that's not really what he ever wanted for them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because the law ended up being a stumbling block for them, and they really didn't understand it. And maybe it's a situation where spiritually they did not understand it, and that was maybe the kind of the intent, because the law was not meant to save them. I don't know. That was a little bit of a rabbit trail, but I don't know. I think there's the symbolism. You just can't really separate though the idea that the Freemasons love them some Solomon. They love some Solomon, right? So like that's why he's shown as like the grand master of the lodge.
He paved the way to control all of the demonic.
Right.
He paved the way for complete control over the spirit realm.
And he had more knowledge than anybody else. So obviously that's what they're seeking, esoteric knowledge.
Wealth,
he had knowledge of everything.
all of it.
Yeah, money, women. He had he had whatever you guys have ever thought about doing. Solomon has already done it, and he did it way bigger.
But since we're on the topic of old statues.
Oh my days. Oh my diddy. These are not statues, brother. These are petrified people. Oh, you son of a... So let me see if I got this straight. You're trying to tell me a man 600 years ago used a hammer and chisel for 2 weeks and he chiseled a skeleton? Come on, brother. That don't make sense. So the arm fell off and for some reason there's a skeleton type. I don't even know what that's meant to be. But how can that be inside the solid marble? You told me it was solid marble, brother. That a man used a hammer and chisel for 2 weeks. Yeah, Leonardo, Michelangelo, one of them, man, Donatello, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. How could he have chiseled that inside? And why? You only can see it if it breaks. Brother, that looks like a skeleton.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong at all.
That did look like it had a wrist bone up in there. Why though? Like in how?
I don't know. Well, I'll tell you right now that when you build sculptures like that, you do have to form a skeleton. And so if it was broken as a bone, the bone, like where that arm was broken, looked like it was beyond the elbow, right? So it would have technically 2 bones. Or was it above the elbow?
No, it was below. It looked like it was
below.
Right.
Yeah,
it looked like it was it looked like the hand was missing.
Yeah, so it would have
well,
2.
It was right
2,
at the elbow.
Yeah, so you'd have 2.
No, it was right at the elbow. So I think it was right where there would still be 1 bone.
No, well, the elbow, there's 2 bones right there. So you have 2 bones.
Well,
in the
there's
arm.
2 bones between the elbow and the wrist.
Between the elbow and the wrist, yeah.
But if it's right at the elbow, there's still only 1.
Maybe. The
But we're told though that it's 1 piece of marble though. So what you're saying might be true for certain types of statues. But what we're told historically is that those are carved out of 1 piece of stone.
Well,
if you look anatomically
weird.
at
So it's
at,
not made
at
out of
a
clay. It's not made out of clay.
Out of a human skeleton, it could have just been that bone that was visible. Like you might not have seen that one. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but what you were describing, Brian, it sounds like you were describing, somebody making a statue out of clay. Like you couldn't make a skeleton and then add on marble to add the flesh. So like, what the heck? Like that is the weird thing. It does seem like these statues, however they did them, it does not seem like they used a hammer and chisel. It just, I don't know. I have a hard time believing when you see the statues with like the fishnets or the cloth, when you can kind of see behind it with the wrinkles in the cloth, where like one of these women's statues has a veil on. It's so eerie that somebody could chisel with that amount of precision and detail. What do you guys think? I don't know. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting.
I agree with you.
You know, I actually have a video that sort of relates to that. It's about either people or giants being turned to stone.
These are the Man-Pupuner rock formations, or the 7 strong men, in Russia's Ural Mountains, linked to the Mansi mythology. These are giants marching to attack the Mansi, and these giants were petrified into stone pillars by a shaman's magic after seeing the sacred Uri Mountains, with one legend mentioning a shield reflecting sunlight, while another story says the leader dropped his drum, freezing them all. The use of a shield reminds me of the Greek hero Perseus, who used a highly polished, mirror-like shield given to him by the goddess Athena to reflect Medusa's petrifying gaze, allowing him to decapitate her without turning to stone. He looked at her reflection, but not directly, to avoid her deadly stare. How is this part of the Legend of the Seven Giants. I also found it amazing that the Mansi people were called the flesh eaters by the Russians, so they were cannibals. One pillar stands apart. He's 34 meters or 111 feet, and he was supposed to be the shaman who's coming to attack the Mansi people. The Russians conquered Siberia in 1581 to 1778. They conquered the Khanate of Siberia.
That kind of stuff is so fascinating to me.
I know Brian's digging that.
I love that kind of stuff. Can't we cut into that stuff and find out if there's any like flesh or DNA or like?
Well, not when something's petrified. You just look for like cellular structures that look similar, but
Well, here, let's read a little bit about this thing. It's a Maniperner. How do you say that? How do you pronounce that? Is it poo-poo Nior?
I don't know.
Whatever. It says literally small idol mountain. That's interesting. It says there are 7 set of stone pillars located west of the Ural Mountains.
Uriel?
Yeah, I know it does sound like it's Ural.
Yeah, Uriel.
But it almost sounds like Uriel.
That does sound very interesting, right?
In the Trotsky Pescatorsky, oh gosh, I'm terrible. District of Khomeini Republic. They're located on the territory of, I'm not reading that, on the mountain main Pupu Nior between, whatever. They are also known as the 7 strongmen rock formations in the poles of the Khomeini Republic, deemed one of the 7 wonders of Russia. Yeah, that's really weird, but I mean,
I think being next to Mount Uriel is more fascinating, honestly.
But I mean, what the heck is that? You know what I'm saying? Like that, it definitely seems like it's something petrified.
Well, people don't get petrified standing up, so it's not like, you know what I mean?
Well, you say that, but biblically, we have Lot's wife who turned into a pillar of salt, right?
True. I mean, but that was like a supernatural thing, I think.
Well, you don't think this was a supernatural thing? I mean, if this was a thing, it was supernatural.
I mean, there's animals that have been petrified in the middle of eating.
I mean,
so
you know, it's funny. I just did a podcast with Jay Dreamers, and he was telling me, and I'm sure Brian probably knows this. There's a ton of fish fossils where they're like fossilized while they're eating something.
Yeah, but it's only fish.
Yeah,
and that's because they're in the middle.
I know, but that's really weird, dude. Like, because if you think about it, like, how could a fish turn to stone while it's eating something in the water?
Well, it was chomping down. It was like, and then all of a sudden, and then the wave came.
The wave of what?
I don't know. The mud wave, bro. The mud.
That makes it even more fascinating, though, is that they were in water and got fossilized.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's even crazier than not being in water and getting fossilized.
That was the mud wave that came, bro. The mud wave.
Well, I mean, I still have a hard time believing that if a mud wave went into the water, the fish wouldn't stop eating whatever it was eating.
Well, but it's like halfway in its mouth. It was probably like chomping, and then
I know, but there's a bunch of
fish eat.
Anyways, that's another rabbit trail. But I just thought it's really interesting that place, the rock formations, just seem so unusual. Like they don't belong there.
It does look unusual.
So it looks like it could have been like almost like a fossilized trees or something too.
Yeah, it could be some kind of like organic structure that was standing up. That like it could be a tree of some kind, maybe. It is weird.
It's just so bizarre. But yeah, I love the stories about stuff being turned to stone.
They could have also been statues that were made in dedication to that story. You know what I'm saying? And we're seeing like the remaining statues that have been changed by weather over time. It could be so many things, man. That's the thing, is we just don't know. But
those jokers are big, though.
Yeah, they're huge.
You see, is that a person right there?
On top? There's one on top?
Yeah, so that's a person right there.
And there's one at the bottom on the left.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah. That's totally bizarre. So interesting. That looks like a different place.
Look at that. The little people right
Kind
there.
of crazy, them in the snow.
What if they
Whatever
were,
they are,
what if they were
they're
the
not what they
Nephilim,
tell us they are.
Yeah, what if they were the Nephilim, got turned to stone there, and for whatever reason, and then it's just their bodies just eroded?
I mean, they're literally called the 7 stone giants. Okay, I want to go back to something we were just talking about America being the great Satan. So it's interesting the way that Baal's depicted, Moloch's depicted as a bull.
I'm sure the Muslims probably are having a heyday with the Epstein files. I'm sure the Muslims are like, yeah, we told you so.
We told you.
told
They're
you,
like
like-
us. They're like us. We tried to tell you. They're all satanic pizza files. Yeah. But, part of what was it about worshiping this deity was about the harvest, right? It was about tangible riches and things like that. And now we still, like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. Check this out.
This is the Wall Street Bull. Look at all these people. Make it make sense. Step on up. Touch the bull's balls. Make it make sense. Come on, New York City. Look at this guy. Yeah, let me grab onto him. Come on. Let me touch him. Make it make sense. Who's next? Oh, yeah. Take a picture. Oh, yeah. We'll send it to Facebook, Instagram. Say cheese. Make sure you're touching it. Make it make sense, New York City. On a beautiful day. To touch some testes in New York City. Good luck. Mazel tov. I don't know what these people are doing, but God bless. Having fun. More people should have fun in the comment section. Some of you too uptight. Relax. Hit the bong. Grab the balls. Have a great day. Just make it make sense, New York City. Make it make sense. One more time. Damn right. One more person. What do we got? Don't be scared. Oh, 2 for Tuesday. Oh, make a wish. Peace on earth. I get it. Make it make sense.
Nothing weird about that. Nothing weird about that. We just have this giant golden calf, and everyone's going to touch its testes.
Bro, it just
Get
adds to
pictures,
the degeneracy
like
of our
literally their
society.
head right up there, like right up the bull's rear end.
No, but doesn't it make sense? Like they're telling us what that statue really is. Because what else do we call those testes?
Bull's balls?
Balls?
Balls,
Ball?
yeah.
Ball.
Oh, yeah.
The ball.
It's not even a coincidence. That's exactly why they do that. That's why his head is down, and his balls are out and up. Like they're not, it's not like they knew people. They knew that the useless eaters in this world, quote unquote, would just want to take their pictures at the back end because they think it's funny, and we laugh at all the perverted stuff. But they're literally telling us what that statue is.
Well,
Someone
it's
needs to go
it's
castrate
often.
it.
I mean, all these deities are often associated with fertility too. So the fact that it is this kind of weird fertility ritual, whether these people are just doing it as a joke, touching its private parts is weird. It's
very
really weird, and of course, it said it's so reminiscent of the golden calf story in the book of Exodus.
Yeah. Disturbing.
But again,
That wasn't one of my shining moments in the Old Testament, by the way.
Yeah, Aaron. You know, it's funny. I was reading the story about Moses and Aaron in the Exodus, the high priest Aaron, and Moses gets him out of the golden calf incident without getting struck dead. Crazy. I'm always surprised about that. The way how God was so quick to kill people during the Exodus, and somehow Aaron was spared. But both of them don't get in to go to the promised land because Moses strikes the rock instead of speaking to the rock to get the water out of it. So like Aaron's there, and it's like the way the scripture goes, he doesn't really say anything. It's Moses saying, "You guys are the worst. I can get you water," and he bangs the rock with his staff, and the water comes out. Aaron's just there, but he can't go into the promised land because of that one incident. I'm surprised God didn't call back to, "Hey, you remember when you took everyone's gold and you made them this gold bull for them to worship. And they said, this is
Having
the God
an
who took you out
EDM
of Egypt.
concert at the bottom of the mountain.
It's like, remember that? Yeah, you're not getting in. But it was not that. But anyway, so I found the video that Aaron wanted to present. So this is probably not going to make it to the YouTube cut. There's a few videos in here that, again, if you guys want to watch these episodes uncensored, you guys got to check it out, the Patreon cut. And it's not because we're trying to hold back. It's just because copyright.
The things I found amazing in that were the 1,000 years. I thought was interesting. He talked about how he couldn't sustain life, so he had to possess a human. And then the other part that I thought that was fascinating was how when he came down, it showed him it was lightning.
Yeah, the whole thing I was thinking the whole time, it was just like, this is just some completely inverted story of Jesus. Is that Jesus was an alien. He was looking for a way to extend his life. He took the form of a person, and then he can rule over these, I don't know, primitive people. And he wants to keep them backwards. He doesn't want them to read and write.
Yeah, he took away
to
the
get
reading
smart.
and writing.
And also, he has this Stargate where he brings thousands of his own people here. That sounds like, again, I remember watching that movie. I guess I don't know why I didn't make those connections sooner, but that sounds more like they're trying to make. It's probably, you know what? I'm sure a lot of people would say, oh, well, they're talking about Osiris, they're talking about Horus or whatever. But I think that's probably what they want you to believe is like, this is this zeitgeist story, right? Like that it's all the same. Because this sounds like Jesus, but it also sounds like Osiris. And that's what they want you to believe, because they want you to believe that this story is not unique to Christ. It's a story that is about aliens, right?
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating. There was too many like weird parallels and that came out in like 92.
Yeah, early 90s.
So
I still always think we've talked about this multiple times, but it's always worth bringing back up. I just think it's interesting. I think we were just talking about that maybe last week when we were talking about the weapons of mass destruction. Like the Stargate.
BMDs, AMDs.
Yeah, the Stargate in that movie, it was this stone Stargate that they found, but then they took it and they created it into actual technology. I think that they're telling us a real phenomenon, that there was ancient tech,
agree.
and we would say, just like the famous quote from Thor, is that your ancestors called it magic, you call it science. Where I come from, they're one and the same.
And I don't think we were being lied to.
Well, it's like, it's kind of the idea that we're often talking about, like, you know, like this show is talking about outer space, but we don't believe in outer space. We believe in maybe dimensional changes and like a higher dimension of spiritual energy, or like a spiritual realm.
For sure.
So like the way that people can access this astral plane, whether it's the higher one or the lower one, there's different ways to access it. And you can't access it with a spaceship. So you can usually, you can access it, obviously, as a Christian, if God allows you entrance to this place, if he takes you up, like something, when the prophets and people like that are experience some kind of a vision, you're taken kind of into this plane. But like the pagans, the way that they would do it, it would be either through pharmakia, through some kind of a seance, some kind of witchcraft, some kind of ritual. And then I think that what they've been trying to do is through some kind of technology, get them into the same place too. But it's like, well, so however you access this, quote unquote Stargate, there's maybe more ways than one to get to this place, but they're looking to turn this witchcraft into science based on mathematics and their own technology.
Yeah, they're looking for the counterfeit versions of the illegal access to the spirit realms. But See, that's one thing that helps me, because I have always been a sci-fi nerd, and so when I realized space wasn't real and all that kind of stuff, like, it was devastating to me growing up being a Star Wars kid and all of that. But the way I see it is Jesus is our portal. Like, Jesus is quite literally the portal to the Father. He tells us the only
he's the way.
the only
He's
way
the
to
way.
the Father is through me, right? And he is the way. So, like, the only access we need to the spirit realm is through him. He is our portal, quite literally. And I don't think that our president was lying to us when he told us that there were WMDs over there. I think when he talked about there being weapons of mass destruction, we perceived those as missiles. But whatever they went and got and obtained, I believe were exactly what he was calling those WMDs. And it's got something to do with those relics and all of that. Maybe some Stargate type portal stuff. Could have been the DNA of Nimrod. Who knows? Could have been any of that stuff. But whatever it was, I think it's safe to say that their intention was to use them as WMDs.
Yeah, 100%. I forgot. I probably should have played this earlier about things being turned to stone. Have you ever seen that famous rock formation that looks exactly like a frog?
Yeah.
Let's watch that. Okay, let me see if I can find a better picture of it. Yeah, so this is, I want to say this is in New Hampshire. Here's the picture they showed. You ever seen this, Brian?
I don't know. Yeah, I've seen that old image, I think.
not that one.
Guys,
that's not as good a picture, but I saw one. Yeah, that it looks. I mean, there, right there. That does look remarkably like a frog. Does it not?
Sure.
It totally does. I mean, you've seen the ones. There's ones of turtles. There's ones of snakes. Massive.
We should go back to that one.
The snake one is very fascinating.
That one is totally
irrefutable evidence.
That's the rock. That's the frog rock.
Of a petrified frog. Irrefutable.
Yep. This one or this one? Which one do you find more realistic?
No, that snake one is fascinating.
The snake
it's like
one.
It's like in a park. It's like in the middle of a park.
So you got one over here. It's a ladybug.
Yep, that one. That one's
irrefutable evidence.
That's evidence.
Yeah, what is the snake one? I think we might have talked about that.
We've shown it before.
I think the most fascinating one, though, is that giant man. He's like white, and this beard looks like it's got ice coming off of it.
Well, yeah, that. Okay, I'll show this one real quick. So this is that. Here's the snake head one.
Yeah, dude, come on.
Is it? That's a separate image, though, right? That's not related to this.
I think it's around the same area, though.
Is it?
It's massive. The one I'm talking about, if that's the one I'm thinking of, it's massive.
Yeah, I don't know what
that's the same one.
That's somewhere in the same range?
Yeah, in the same area.
I think so. I think it's like coiled up.
Well,
okay, then
I don't
that's
know
really
if it's coiled up, but it's somewhere around the corner from it.
Well, that's
it's long, though. I know that much.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about. That statue of that man, statue of giant. Oh, gosh, I can't remember. It's a real famous statue, and it's got really weird origins. Like it's when it was built. Do you know what it's called?
Put man at the end of it. You might even want to try petrified. Wait, is that it on the bottom left? Go down. The second picture, all the way on the left.
Yeah,
second
there
one
it
down.
is. Yeah, that
and
one.
Dude, you can see his leg bones coming through. some of these statues, dude, like there's like blood coming through where the bones would be.
What is that called? I want to read the history about that.
Dude, that is not. No one can convince me that's a
It's called
statue.
Colossus, something Colossus. I forget. It was done. Somebody made that.
I don't believe that.
It was new.
see.
It wasn't. It's pretty relatively new.
I don't think it's new, because actually I remember looking it up. I don't think it's new.
Really. I think that might have been relatively new. The back of it's hollow, and you can go inside of it too. I think
It says made by Gambi Bologna in
Gambo
1580.
what in 1580.
1580.
Maybe I'm getting that mixed up with the wrong statue.
I know it was
then.
old. I know it was
That's
really old.
Definitely old. Is that the one you can go behind? See if that one. Can you go inside of that one?
It looked like didn't it look like it has a cave
I think
like at the bottom over here? Is that like a serpent head or turtle head?
that he's like pushing down on?
Yeah, let
Good
me.
question.
Yeah, that is friggin' crazy. Oh, I wasn't sharing that one part of the screen. Yeah, over here. Yeah, so this is where it says it's yeah, right here it says 1580. Representing the allegory of a mountain as a giant who seems to come out from the lake waters. The sculpture also hides some caves and rooms which are accessible through an internal staircase.
Yeah.
So it's probably not a petrified giant because you can go inside of it, or maybe it's hollow because it was once a person.
Yeah, I don't feel like that. Yeah, I don't feel like that disqualifies
They
it.
built a staircase inside this old giant.
They went and hollowed him out.
Petrified giant.
If they found it, right? Because if it was created in the 15 whatever, depending on when it was fossilized.
That is just absolutely bonkers, though. That somebody did that in 1580, and that thing is massive.
It's huge.
Out of stone. So I'm trying to think of like the logistics of making a statue like that. Was there already a rock formation there, supposedly, and they carved it? Or how would they have moved that? How much would that weigh if it was all made of stone?
Right.
So how
Good
would
question.
they move it by horse and cart?
Horse and buggy, sir.
Well, that they also have those gigantic statues in Egypt. They're like the two Colossus statues, and those ones were supposedly carved out of one solid stone. You see the Colossus in Egypt.
Statues that get me are like the giant ones of humans, and then like the pieces of bone showing through, like the one earlier. But I'm talking about like even bigger. And some of them, I don't know why I don't have the video, but I saw one where they were showing videos of that, and then like where the bones are, there's like red stone coming out of it, like where there would have been blood or fossilized blood, and there's no explanation.
Yeah, these ones right here.
You'd have to show me. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'll send it to you if I find it.
Oh, look at that. Look, that looks eroded just like the other giants were. Like the other the first ones you showed us of the man Pupurunu or whatever.
Pupunoria or whatever.
Man Pupunur. That looks kind of like more eroded like those ones look. So
well, this one, the one on the right is clearly they just tried to fix it as best they could. This one looks like it's mostly intact, but it's been scorched by fire from God, probably.
Yeah.
That's so eerie, just rolling up on that, seeing that for the first time.
Imagine, right?
Yeah, and those things were supposedly carved out of like one piece of stone. Yeah, it says they have stood since 1350 BC, were well known to the Greeks and Romans as well as early modern travelers and Egyptologists. The statues contain 107 Roman era inscriptions in Greek and Latin. dated between AD 20 and 250. Many inscriptions on the northernmost statue make reference to the Greek mythological king Memnon, whom the statue was then erroneously thought to represent. But yeah, these things are made of one stone. Somebody says that I've seen videos talking about them, and they would have estimated that solid stone would have weighed upwards of like over 1 million pounds. And they carved the whole thing out of one solid stone.
We'll never know.
No, we most likely will not. You know what we haven't done on this show in a while is
what we haven't done is gone out to the desert together for a week and taken drones and cameras and
guns,
filmed stuff,
pew-pews,
and guns, and filmed stuff for ourselves.
Yeah, we're supposed
to give our viewers brand new footage.
We're supposed to do that, right?
Never seen.
Yep, we're gonna do that.
We're supposed to do that.
Okay, we're gonna do that. But what we also haven't done in a while is shown a creepy commercial. You guys want to check out a creepy commercial?
Only if it's dolls.
Hey, look who's skating. It's Ronald McDonald, the hamburger happy clown. Here he comes. And there he goes.
Well, hi. Isn't that McDonald's hamburger delicious?
Mom told me never to talk to strangers.
Well, your mother's right as always, but I'm Ronald McDonald. Give me a McDonald's shake.
Well, you sound like Ronald.
Here, I'll prove it. I'll give you 3 more hamburgers. I know, you're not supposed to accept gifts from strangers either.
But you're no stranger. You really are Ronald McDonald.
He's Ronald McDonald, the hamburger happy clown. A McDonald's drive-in restaurant is his favorite place in town.
Everything about that disturbs my soul, dude. I just feel like they were so honest about the red face paint just being all around his mouth.
Very disturbing.
Yeah, I normally don't talk to strangers, but you seem okay. like
giving me unwrapped hamburgers is totally okay. No, you're not weird at all,
dude.
Yeah, the way that it's depicted, of course, I just can't help. Every time I see a weird clown thing, I always think of all the stuff that Paul's done his research into. The Nephilim look like clowns, and how,
dude.
Yeah, the mouth that they always make on a clown. They typically, that was weird because it was just all red around his mouth.
Where he would have been eating something bloody?
Right. But typically they just make it a big mouth. Like they draw in an extra layer of like teeth and make the lips bigger and stuff. And Paul's make reference to that's like maybe like a seraphim angel type, but like it's a serpentine looking mouth with giant eyes and a giant mouth. But yeah, that's really weird. And the way that the kid was like touching him all around the waist.
Oh, dude, it's just so disturbing. Why was he touching him at all? That's disturbing.
I'm not supposed to talk to strangers, but but you're definitely Ronald McDonald, so I'll hold your hand and follow you anywhere.
So disturbing. What is with our society that we didn't see these things? You know, here's the thing. Here's why I know like our reality has been like totally like shifted in ways. Because billions and billions served. You know what's even funnier?
I don't believe they're talking about people having been served burgers. I think they're saying they have served billions and billions of people.
Did you see the other McDonald's ad that said our secret ingredient is our people? Or is people or something like that? Yeah.
I want to
straight up telling us the truth.
There was a meme that I've shared before. Yeah, and I think it was a Wendy's, and it was saying, our best ingredient is our people.
Yeah.
And of course I think it had Charlton Heston in the ad, and he's like making the face like, yeah, you can't help but think that this being associated with clowns with like look like a blood covered mouth. I don't want to eat the cheeseburgers that he's giving me.
No. Dude, you know what? This is how I know like our society has shifted a long way from what we were. Have you ever watched like shows like Leave It to Beaver? You ever watch like old shows from like that time?
Well, I used to watch. You know, I grew up in the age where my parents watched. Well, my mom liked to watch all those shows, so I watched the Andy Griffith Show. I
Yeah.
watched
Okay.
Leave It to Beaver.
Perfect.
All those
Same.
shows. All the time.
Okay, let me share some ideas with you guys. So that you watch those old shows and you watch old movies, and they're like, "Howdy there, son. How are you doing today?" And the kids are like, "Oh, we're doing great, Dad. How's about you?" And it's like this total, like, you're watching like a stupid little puppet show. You're like if you were to watch a movie that was filmed like that back in the day, filmed today, you'd be like, the acting is terrible. This is like so ridiculous, right? You'd be like, what's going on? Why is the acting so vanilla? And everybody's like, I'm your best friend, hippity doo, just like that the thing you just watched. It was like my mom told me never to talk to strangers. Like, if we saw that acting, we'd be like, that's stupid. But back in the day, acting was even worse. But yet still people were being entertained.
I don't think it was all that bad. I think that you watch a lot of old movies and it's pretty good. Like I was saying,
I think that's how people were.
Well,
that's just how people were, and that's how they talk.
Exactly. So that's what I'm getting at.
I think it was a more innocent time.
That's exactly what I'm getting
at. The music. But look at the music, though. Literally, the most famous band in the 60s, one of their most popular songs, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Yeah, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
That's all they were talking about, dude.
Yeah. And then it was,
look where we're
I
at
Am
now.
the Walrus.
Yeah.
And the Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah, but now you got Bad Bunny talking about the craziest stuff, twerking on other men in front of millions of people. And it's like, how did we go from I Want to Hold Your Hand to grinding up on a bush, dude?
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Oh, you know what?
That's what I'm getting at, though. Wait, hold on. That's what I'm getting at. Is like, that's the point. Is like our society has shifted from this ideology where we were back in the day in this innocent state. We were in a much more innocent state. And people are like, no, society was evil back then. There was so much more wickedness in the world, and good. Thank God for the laws and all the things that we went through and all the stuff we, controlled. Because now it's like so much less wicked than it used to be. People have this ideology that we were like savage Indian killing people. Yet we see even in the old clips, like old footage, people were way more innocent in their thinking, in their mind, and their behaviors. They walked in a form of innocence. They behaved like, bro, I wouldn't watch those movies from the back of the day and not even be remotely entertained. When I was younger, when I watched TV, I'd see them and I'd be like, this is so boring. It's like not even it's like nobody talks like that.
Where's
nobody
all the
acts
killing
like that.
and all the drugs?
Yeah, that's
and all
literally
the
what I
stuff.
was thinking as a kid.
No, the Jetsons came out in the 60s, and that's still pretty fire.
Bro, I don't know. I thought that show sucked. I was so against the Jetsons.
But what's the one thing that's changed, though, from then to now? What's the number one thing that's changed? What have we been given access to?
Technology.
It's changed everything.
Technology.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like the whole thing that I was thinking when I was watching this stuff is like, it's like I see it and I'm like, dude, our world has shifted from a state of innocence to this perverted state that it's in right now. The West ideology that we have is the beast system. The ideology of the West, have a phone, have technology. And if you don't have a phone or have technology, guess what? They're going to go through and wipe you out. Israel's going to show up at your door knocking and kill you all because they're going to send someone because you're not a part of the system.
Even with technology, we still have a choice. People still have a choice. They can choose what to watch. They can choose what not to watch. They can choose what to say. They can choose what not to say. It's like the people that are like, oh, Facebook is evil. Like, don't go on Facebook. I personally actually do believe that, but it's not Facebook that makes people evil. It's what they do with it.
Yeah.
It's the people that choose to do horrible things with it. So I think everyone's been polarized by all of the technology and access that we have. But not a lot of people have sat down and taken accountability and written down, okay, how has this affected my life? If everybody sat down and got a notebook out with a pen and paper and wrote down, how has technology made my life worse and how has it made it better? Like, they wouldn't realize like how many things that they do. Like, how many things do people watch without even thinking about it that are so wrong and so bad? And they stay on that reel for just a few seconds too long, or they rewatch it or whatever the case is. It's like, dude, if you're not controlling what's coming in and how you're using that stuff, it is absolutely controlling you. So you are right, Brian, but I just want to remind everyone that you still have the power to control how you use all of that
consent.
stuff.
Like I said, it all kind of works based on consent. You know, it's funny you guys said that, especially you, Brian, talking about how these people who are kind of more primitive, that goes like back to the story of what the Spanish wrote about, like the Franciscan friars wrote about the Native Americans.
Yeah.
The people like in New Spain, which is now considered Mexico, is these people were very innocent and they were very apt to accept the gospel. And it wasn't only until the Westerners introduced them in different kinds of ways to sin that they became more corrupt.
Yep.
And so what was interesting, I was just watching this video today. It was about maybe what the War of 1812 and what was also happening with the Napoleonic Wars were about that.
Christopher Columbus wrote literally that the Native Americans they were easy to manipulate. That's what he wrote. Easy to manipulate.
Right, but what the story was about was basically like the way we're told about the War of 1812 between the United States and the British, and then you had Russia versus France, so Napoleon versus Alexander the First. And so there's these massive wars with these massive amounts of destruction, but like the maps don't change really. At the end of the day, like what we're told about these wars, like the story about the world doesn't change that much. But what he was specifically talking about in this video was that you had a lot more like, I don't know, maybe self-sufficient population centers back before kind of everything became kind of this, got pushed into this world system. And so what the video was kind of, the theory was that what if this was really about that they were wiping out groups of people who were still on the old system.
That's totally what it was.
Where it was like more like a situation where everybody had this community and they weren't worried about whatever the central governments were doing. They were very self-sufficient.
Yep.
So they wiped out all these population centers all around like the western part of Russia. Because the story goes is that the Russians allowed Napoleon to go all the way to Moscow and burn it down. And but they didn't negotiate. They didn't do anything. It was like, we're told that basically the winner defeated the French army and not the Russians. And it's the same thing, like where what did the British accomplish with the War of 1812? Like, why did they go to war with America? But we're also told is they came in, they just started burning cities here. Like, what were those cities? Like, why did they burn down Washington, D.C. when it was just barely being built? For what point? Like it had what these armies did had no strategic military value, but they were coming and destroying things. It's kind of similar to the story about even in the Civil War that you had these Union generals just coming into the South and just burning places down. That makes no sense based on the idea that the Union wanted to bring the Confederacy back into good stead with the country. You're not trying to burn that place down, like you're trying to control it. And so that's what happened in Russia. That's what happened here. And that's what happened with the British in the War of 1812. Really interesting. But you know what? I got probably the perfect video maybe to finish on, because why did we go from this more innocent time to here, and how do we get there?
You want to know the biggest psyop in modern day history? It's got nothing to do with politics. It's got nothing to do with religion. It's what happened to men in the last 60 years. You've seen it. I've seen it. Women around us nonstop say, where are the real men? The real question to ask is, was this just an accident, or did this all happen intentionally? To understand, we got to take it back pre-World War II, back when society ran on an order. It was God, family, community, and country, in that order. Men weren't controlled by any systems. They were expected to control themselves, and if they did, that's where they earned respect. Then the war ended. Industry started to explode. Jobs were popping up everywhere, and life got really easy, really fast. Suddenly, a man didn't have to be exceptional to survive, and after women had proved themselves in wartime industry, male necessity started to fade away. And as that level of comfort rose, God started to move off-center. It wasn't banned, it was just optional. When there's no higher power telling you when to stop, your desire becomes a new standard. And that's about the time the language started to change, because as consumerism rose, they realized that a disciplined population doesn't really buy as much. Whereas self-control used to hold society together, indulgence was easier to monetize. Here's where it gets interesting. This guy, Alfred Kinsey, pops up out of nowhere, conducts a study, and that study found that taboo and sexually deviant behavior like adultery and premarital sex were actually way more common and normal than we thought. And if it's normal, then that means resisting it must be unhealthy. Hollywood took that and ran with it. Early films didn't show explicit sex, but the heroes changed. What used to be a disciplined provider looked a lot more like an impulsive and pleasure-driven man. Then Playboy came by and scaled it. They didn't sell sex, they sold a lifestyle. You know, one where you could be successful while avoiding adulthood. Then the porn industry came by and finished the job. What once required confidence, competence, discipline was now instant and unlimited. The reward system was broken because for most of history, strength, discipline, status, these were all prerequisites for sex, respect, and starting a family. And when the strongest incentive for male growth no longer requires growth, men stop developing. Here's the part most people miss. If you wanted to weaken a society, you wouldn't start with the men. Men orient their behavior around women. But if you change what women reward, male behavior follows automatically. So here's my challenge to you. I urge you to go look up who profits from all of this. Go look up the parent companies, the boards, the investors, the regulators, the lobbying. Go follow the money trail. Then ask yourself, who benefits from a distracted, undisciplined, and easily controlled population?
The music in the background as he asks.
The end.
Go look at who profits the most from this.
I wonder who he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of a mystery, right?
That music's.
I actually have a video that goes exactly along with that will keep us on par. It won't take from that conversation. It's only going to add to it. And it is a bit of a palate cleanser because Brian segued us into that. That guy talked about it. But yeah, things have changed over the years. We don't see things like they once were, as pure and innocent as they once were. The way that we're shown love is lust these days and control from men over women. And so I just want to ask everybody who has experienced this kind of love.
Hello?
I got you a present.
Hey?
I got you a present.
What's that, darling? Ah! Oh! Oh!
Oh,
Oh, that's so... Oh! Oh, lady! Oh! Oh! Oh, darling! Let me see, Ken.
Show us what you've got, Ken.
Let me see what you... Oh, Ken!
Look at that.
How beautiful.
Oh.
How beautiful.
Oh.
Oh, dear.
Oh my God. I thought that might be a bit better than your photograph.
94-year-old veteran who sleeps next to a picture of his wife every single night, and they gave him a pillow with his wife's face on it. But like 94 years, he's 94 years old. He was a vet, probably killed some people, saw some insane stuff, all man, but sensitive enough to still in his final, well, he looks like he's pretty healthy. Dude, love has shifted, man. Like what we're told love is, what love should be. Now, I'm not saying every man's got to be as emotional as that guy, but I can relate to that. Should we not be looking for that kind of love? Dude, everything is completely shifted, man.
Yeah, that was a good video. Yeah, you can appreciate that, and you can see the emotion in that guy, and that's really cool. I want to just talk about the one thing the one guy said in the video about like how men have shifted. And right, so it's like you try to influence the women and like what the women reward, and that shifts the priorities of men. And of course, as things got easier. But I like what he was saying before, where like you don't have to, you don't need the surveillance state to control men when men are controlled by their desire to please God. So when you put God first in your life, like
That's
you
exactly
don't,
right.
Everything else is
you wouldn't even need
prioritized
police,
in proper order, where it's like that as Christians, we believe in a God who can see everything that we do. So in some ways, we're already under some kind of surveillance state because there's nothing that gets past God. So when we know when you turned off your Wi-Fi, you got no cameras, nothing, somebody's seeing what you do. And when you're held to the standard that God holds us to, then everything else in society falls into the proper order of like, I shouldn't do that. Obviously, I should not steal. I should not cheat. I should not commit adultery. I should not do all the things. I shouldn't. God keeps that part of you in check.
When you're controlled by money or your wiener, everything
Right.
falls out of line and they've got full control over you.
Right, exactly. So I think that's the difference is that it's funny, like I was saying, when I watched that movie, It's a Wonderful Life, like it's not beating you over the head with this as like a Christian movie, but like it's almost like the audience would have already known that the reason why you do what's right is because you're trying to please God. And this is the reason you don't run off and chase your own desires and your own desires for wealth, because we know that's a godly message. So in the same way, if you watch an old TV show, they have this morality about them, and that morality does not come from us, it comes from God. So like why they are the way that they are, it's because it's inherent to who these people were. It's like that these people all went to church. They all did what's right for the community. They all tried to raise their kids in a certain way and instill these values in them because that's what people used to do. And now they don't.
Well, that's what Jesus
and
said.
Now what you have is you replace the idea that God is watching with Big Brother's watching. And you know what? That does not make people good. It makes them afraid, and it makes them try to, again, it's almost like to go back to like the idea of like the law versus the new covenant. When you see how some of these people who maybe he was pointing to at the end might be kind of forcing this idea, they're looking for loopholes in order what they can get away with. Because if your master is the state, well, we don't really like the state. So you'll see what you can do and you'll get away with anything you can. But like if God is your master, well, there's nothing that gets past him, even down to what's in your heart, even the things you think and the things you want. God sees all that stuff. And I really do think that's the kind of the most important message about all this stuff is that God is watching. You know, so regardless of Donald Trump or Palantir, you know, Larry Ellison, all these people, it's God who we're accountable to at the end of the day. And I think that's what people have really lost sight of. So it's not about this binary choice between Bad Bunny and TPUSA or, you know, the surveillance state. It's us versus, it's a spiritual battle. It's the forces of good. It's Christ. It's the Holy Spirit versus spiritual wickedness in the heavenly places.
When you say like all that right there about the where you're being watched aspect, like those people were genuinely more innocent, and that's how they talk. And like that's what Jesus talks about. It says be as innocent as doves, you know, as shrewd as vipers, but as innocent as doves. It says you must become like a child to enter into the kingdom of heaven. The reason why the shows were like so innocent and so silly is because to an innocent person, anything seems like different. It seems more like, whoa, that's weird to watch. And so that's why they watched old shows like that. And it was like entertaining to some degree. But like the reality is this, we don't need police. And the more policing we've put into our society, the more worse our society has gotten. It has not been because what that guy is touching on is the fact that like our role as men is the protectors by default. We are all as men supposed to be the police. We don't need a police to tell us that they're the police. Every single man is supposed to stand up for what is right. Every single man is supposed to be the police of righteousness. That's why every good movie you watch, it's like the man that's the hero is the man doing what he's supposed to do, like being the police when the police aren't around. And you're like, oh, that's a great guy. It's like, no, that's what we're all supposed to be.
Most men can't even police themselves anymore.
Well, that's because they've been told that you're not being watched by God. There is no authority. There is no upper authority. We just live, you know, all willy-nilly however we want. But the reality is, like, we are supposed to be men of honor. Like, men have lost their place and their authority over the space of society because, like, think about this. Like, women used to need men because guess why? Because women needed men because if you didn't have a man protecting you, you were vulnerable, right? And men...
To bad men.
To bad men. And so women relied on men to be their protectors. So they respected men more. And it created a synergy.
And they were programmed to chase after the bad men now.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They're literally programmed to chase after the bad men with money and influence.
Yep. And they don't even know what a good man is anymore. They can't even tell because because the good men are the men that stand up for righteousness. But now that we have police standing up for righteousness, that's why you see women. There's this thing about women having a thing for men in uniform. You ever heard the term like, oh, it's a man in uniform? That woman is tapping into her natural instinct, which is to look for a man who is a provider and a protector. There's nothing like that's why they have that attraction.
It also could be propaganda too.
Well, sure, it's propaganda, but it's
that they want us to wear the uniform.
Exactly, where it's a perversion of that. They're trying to get us to do. But that's
now women are looking for men that'll go get pedicures and manicures with them.
Well, sure, yeah,
literally, dude.
Yeah, but that's the society.
But I think that's
come out of our order.
I think that's what the video is kind of showing, though. Is like that's really not what they want, and it's funny how you have a lot of people now kind of like looking back, and I think they're wanting for they're longing for this time that was. And so women will say they want a masculine man, but they really also want to be a boss babe at the same time, and they really don't need a man. So like the men who want to be that are not finding a lot of women who want them to protect them and provide for them. You know, I think everybody wants their cake and eat it too. They want to still be able to be independent, but at the same time, have somebody who's going to take this strong masculine role. But right, the incentive is what that video is talking about. The priorities of the women have shifted. So of course the men have adapted to it. And obviously it's been at the detriment of society altogether.
Well,
I think there's some good points though.
Likewise, though, I would say, like, in the quote unquote Christian space, there is a ton of beta men that demand respect and they demand submission just because they're the man and they don't actually deserve it. They're not actually in a role to be authoritative at all.
Oh, of course.
Or to lead anybody. They just demand it. And so there's a lot of women out there that are like, I kind of gotta be the boss here because my man isn't, or the men I'm meeting are not. And that is a very real thing. There's a huge lack of men who actually deserve that respect and deserve that submission. And in my personal experience, I've found that like it is an equal parts thing. Like, yes, I am the leader in my relationship, but like we submit to each other because we're both submitting to Jesus. Like we've both submitted to Jesus. And so she's right about a lot of stuff. She's pointed out flaws in me before very kindly and gracefully. And she was right. I was handling things immaturely. And the more I grow and the more I learn in those ways, the more she's like, I can get behind that. Like I can be led by that. Like I can totally, but like, you've got to earn it. You've got to show that you can do that. But yeah, everything, to your point, JT, everything is convoluted and twisted right now. And nobody knows, like we've gotten so far away from the way that it was intended to be. And I think that if we got back to the way that it was intended to be, everything I just mentioned wouldn't be a problem because these men would be God-fearing, Jesus-following people that make good decisions, that are good protectors, that are good providers, that aren't doing shady things behind closed doors. They're not putting men and women in harm's way. And we're so far from that, man.
Well, I think it's a situation where you have a power vacuum, right? Like that when the man stops doing what God intended him to do, there is a vacuum. So who's going to fill it? Whoever is willing to do it. So then the way societies push people, and I think it is interesting, we've talked recently about the whole idea of like this divine feminine energy with like the whole idea that maybe the devil has kind of co-opted that idea where
sure, of course.
he's trying to invert the roles as God had created them. And so they are trying to emasculate men, make them more feminine. And then women are saying these guys can't lead and they're not wrong. So then when they try
they're
to
not
lead,
wrong at all.
and they're still longing for what God had intended. But yeah, right. Where are all the good men at?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not like the ones like if you go, especially the way society's based things now, they want the women to go to college and have careers. And then by the time they start looking for the good men, a lot of the good men have already been married. They're already married now. Right. And so then they're longing for, where are they at? Well, you weren't looking for them at the time when society was telling you should do X, Y, and Z. And again, this is not to say that women can't go to school and go work. It's just saying that the traditional way that God established things is better. And it is how we're wired. So when we see things today where, we're just confused and you have like the Bad Bunnies wearing dresses and not only that, just singing all about all this sexual degeneracy, it's poison to us. I mean, like our flesh kind of wants the things that they're offering, but we know inherently these things are very unsatisfying. Like the belly of the wicked, it always is wanting. You can never fill that space up. And we want structure, we want order, but we don't want to give that authority over to the government to establish that order because we know it's not going to be good. It's the very same way that, again, go back to like to the story of like the Israelites, and they want a king. And then Samuel's telling them, you really don't want a king, because if you have a king, well, for one, you already got a king. You've already got God. But if you want a king, you're going to have to take your sons and your daughters, and they're going to have to go work in his castle or his kingdom. They're going to have to do all the things for him and not for when you could have God as your king, and you could have freedom in that, because it's like God is a loving God, and he gives us the options. He gives us free will. But when you submit to a police state, right? Instead of the men just taking care of their own neighborhoods, their own houses, now you've given it to some other man who really doesn't care about you. He cares about a paycheck, and he cares about moving up in this satanic system.
And it's
So, yeah,
easier
it's all
for
the
men
above.
to submit to that police state because they're still getting the things that they crave out of it, the things that they want the most in their life, their vices. But I would say, regardless of the police state or the state in which our nation and our world is in, life is so much better when we relinquish 100% to Jesus. I know for so long, man, I thought that I had relinquished it all, but dude, it's not even about like the 99% we relinquish. It's that last 1% that we're hanging on to. It's that last 1% where the rest of the pride is, where the rest of the arrogancy is, where the rest of the things are that we don't want to fully let go of and we don't want to fully submit. That's the most difficult part of ourselves to give up, but it's also the most adventurous and the most life transforming. So I would say even in the midst of the craziness that we live in this world, we can still have our own little microcosms of that kind of life by fully submitting ourselves to God and to putting Jesus on the throne and doing what's right for at least our corner of the world,
Amen. Amen. I think that's a great place to leave it. Well, anyways, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching. And if you guys want to watch these episodes early and uncensored, please check me out on Patreon. If you want to support this podcast, this is a great way to do it. Also, check out Modern Roots Life, the sponsor of this podcast. You can help your health out. You can help this podcast out. You can help my good buddy Josh Truex of Modern Roots Life out. But otherwise, guys, I really appreciate you guys just watching and just being in this audience. We've had such a crazy amount of people watching these premieres for this show, and it's really humbling, and I really appreciate you guys. So I just wanted to say I appreciate it, and I love you guys. See you next time.